of allegiance. Thank you, Diane.
And then if we can stand, thank you very much. And then we'll use Councilmember Paul's flag for our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilson. Appreciate that. Okay. I still have not seen Councilmember Jackson come on yet. Hopefully she'll be able to join us here shortly. We do have one consent item. Council, the approval of the February 23rd, 2021 Royce City Council work session minutes. Any comments or questions about those minutes? Okay. Hearing none. Okay, Harry, do I have a motion then to approve then the consent items?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, Joe and Diane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, they are approved. Thank you. This is our public comment period. Does anybody out there would like to make public comment? Morgan, has anybody indicated they have an interest? Morgan?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, sorry. Yes, no, I did not receive any requests for public comment.
Okay. Then we'll move from public comment period and we'll go right into the presentations. The first presentation will be budget proposal fiscal year 2021, 2022. I have to do that, Camille, because half of this is in 2021 and the other half is in 2022.
Yes, it gets very confusing which year we're in and which year we're approving.
And federal government works on Octobers and September and, you know, and then obviously county government works on the calendar year. So whatever you happen to be tied to is different budget cycles. But thank you, Camille. I think you're going to talk to us. And by the way, I want to recognize Councilmember Jackson. She just joined us. Thank you, Ann, for being with us.
I could see you guys forever, but Morgan couldn't get me connected. I could hear you talking. You just couldn't see me or hear me. I could see you.
Good deal. Thank you. Okay, Camille.
Great. I'm going to share my screen with all of you. So we are here with you tonight to present the fiscal year 2022 proposed budget. This budget is a collaboration between Matt and all of us department directors. We came together to prioritize the needs of the city compared to the projected revenues, and we are here tonight to present a balanced budget for your consideration. The total FY 2022 general fund budget, hold on just one second, there we go, is $20,068,166. This represents a 10.2% decrease from the current year modified budget. Most of that decrease is due to the fact that we received CARES Act funding in this current year. Sales tax, as you can see right here, is our largest category of tax revenue. And tax revenues are projected to increase for fiscal year 2021. We are predicting a sales tax increase of 8.57% from fiscal year 2021. And you can see this light color right here is our sales tax. This darker blue color is property tax. And then the navy blue is franchise tax. 47% of the general fund expenditures are for public safety. The remaining 53% of the budget is broken out between various departments. The funding for Class C and transportation infrastructure are restricted to those uses, and we are not able to use those for wages or any other general fund activities. As we talked about in the strategic planning session, property taxes are intended to cover public safety costs. Currently, the property taxes are about $6.1 million less than the amount needed to cover public safety. So this deficit is covered by other taxes and general city revenues. The changes in this budget are ones that we've evaluated and proposed as the most important things to bring forward to you. As department directors, our employees are our priority and the greatest asset to maintaining our levels of service. Maintaining our STEP system is vital to keeping quality employees, and we have included the STEP program in the proposed budget, and we recognize the importance of this program to stay competitive with other cities. The budget also includes a 1.5% increase on health insurance premiums. The city covers 85.5% of the insurance premiums. The only change to the current plan is a plan to move the high deductible health plan with the health savings account from the select care plan to the select med plan. And employees will receive more information on these changes as part of our open enrollment process later this month. The Utah retirement system rates are being held steady this year, so there are no budgeted increases proposed there. The personnel changes in the proposed budget is a reclassification to add a firefighter 2/senior paramedic position. This reclassification is similar to the master officer program in the police department. We've also included 2 part-time bailiff positions in the budget. This will allow our sworn officers to continue with their patrol shifts and allow part-time bailiffs to cover the justice court so that we can keep our police department focused on their responsibilities. We have also included funding in this proposed budget to fund the first year of the salary survey. This year's salary survey was for Public Works and the Parks and Recreation departments. The adjustment to these wages are included in the proposed budgets, and the methodology for completing the salary survey will be discussed more in detail at a proposed budget work session. The directors of these departments are not included in the current salary survey amounts and will be considered with other directors in the future. We, as an administration, strongly recommend approving the salary survey in this year's budget and continuing with this annual salary survey adjustment in future budget years. Some of the other highlights to the fiscal year 2022 budget include various increases throughout all departments to restore the budgets to pre-pandemic levels. We cut our budgets last year, and now that we're back to more of a normal operation, we need to put back in some of the travel and training funding and some of those other items that were cut last year. So you'll see adjustments citywide to those. We've also increased election expenses this year due to a municipal election. We have created a public safety mental health wellness program that's in the finance budget under the HR programs, as well as moving some of the wellness programs and pre-employment drug screens from risk management to HR. The police department, as I mentioned, has the addition of 2 part-time bailiff positions, and the largest increase in their budget are the contracted fees to Weber County for animal control and the debt service on that animal shelter. The fire department has the 3 new firefighter 2/senior paramedic reclassifications included. The community development budget, we moved building inspection from wages to a contracted service. We've also included some part-time funding to help cover the office. The recreation complex, aquatic center, and Roy Days budgets are restored to the pre-COVID levels. And the transportation infrastructure funding will be used to widen both 4800 South and Midland Drive at the canal crossings. We have proposed something new for the fiscal year 2022 budget. All of the capital requests, excluding ramp grants, from the general fund were moved to the capital projects fund. This allows us to look at them all together and prioritize those projects in one location and fund them in the capital projects fund. That's a better way to account for it from an accounting perspective and makes it a little more transparent to have all of those capital purchases and projects in one location. So there's quite a few vehicles that are in need of replacement. So we are proposing to carry forward the funding for the 2 ambulances and the 7 police vehicles you previously approved this year. As we mentioned, right now, sometimes it can take 6 or 8 months to take possession of these vehicles from the time we order them. So we don't anticipate we'll receive them by the end of June. So these are carry forward amounts to approve that money going forward so they can continue with the purchase. We're also proposing an additional 4 police patrol vehicles and 1 animal service vehicle, replacing the fleet shop service truck, and funding 5 vehicles for the annual vehicle rotation program. We're also proposing an annual garage door rotation. This will fund the rotation of new garage doors at the police department and the shops, or I apologize, the fire department and the shops. This will also fund a project to redo the police stairway and the hallway in the basement of the police department, and funds some scanning tools, ADA entry doors at the complex, and some aquatic center projects that need to be done. This also will fund a motorized gate at the Parks and Recreation building and a mower for the Parks Department. The proposed budget also includes fee increases in each of the utility enterprise funds. This is the final year of the first recommended $4 bi-monthly rate fee increase for residential utility customers. And this increase will continue to cover the remainder of the meter replacements and allow the city to begin monthly billing during fiscal year 2022. We also propose a consumer price index adjustment to the stormwater utility fund. This will allow the fund to remain healthy and continue with capital projects as needed. And the solid waste utility fund includes a rate increase of 4.9% to cover increased fees from Waste Management and Weber County. All of the utility enterprise funds experienced increased costs during fiscal year 2021, but the city used fund balance to cover those costs so we could maintain current fees during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is our recommendation that we approve the proposed fee increases to continue to maintain our level of service in the utility enterprise funds. The water and sewer utility fund is going to finalize switching out those water meters so we can move to the monthly billing and continuing water line replacement and sewer mainline rehabilitation projects. The stormwater utility fund includes funding to replace the bank on Howard Slough and building a bridge for Meadow Creek Pond. The solid waste utility fund includes funding to purchase 3 additional dumpsters. 2 will be for citywide use at Roy Days and for our dumpster programs and various things for citywide use, and 1 at the new Parks and Recreation building. The IT budget includes the police and administrative laptop rotations, an air conditioning unit at Fire Station 32 and the Hope Center to protect our server equipment there, cloud storage and upgraded servers, our risk management budget. As I mentioned before, we moved some of the pre-employment drug screens and wellness programs from risk management to HR. We've also included a current portion of ongoing claims the city is obligated to pay. Funds in the storm sewer development budget will be used for a storm drain project on 4800 and an Emma Russell Park storm drain project. The park development budget was approved this year to fund a ramp match for the dog park. Again, we don't anticipate that will be fully completed by June 30th. So we're proposing to carry that funding forward into fiscal year 2022. along with $5,000 for lighting upgrades in the parking lot at the Aquatic Center, and $72,000 worth of security cameras at multiple parks to protect our park assets. The Cemetery Perpetual Fund is set aside to account for monies held to expand and maintain the current city cemetery. The city retains 20% from the sale of each plot for future use, and all available plots in our current cemetery have been sold, so therefore no budget is set for the fund. However, the city is looking into options and funding feasibilities of an additional cemetery, and funding in the capital projects fund could be allocated toward future cemetery costs at a future date. So the next steps, at this point, administration is proposing this budget to you. At this time, it becomes the city council's tentative budget, and it's your budget to review and consider for approval. We will be emailing you the budget and posting it on the website tomorrow morning. And the budget you'll receive has more narrative and the line item information for you to review. We can facilitate holding a budget work session to go over the budget in more detail if you would like us to. And just a reminder that the budget must be adopted by June 22nd. We have put a lot of thought, time, and effort into our recommendations that we have given you tonight and in this budget proposal. We appreciate all that you do for the city, the citizens, and the staff, and we would look forward to working with you through this budget process as we move toward a safe and healthy fiscal year 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Council, I know there's going to be lots of questions. My comment to you would be is we're going to have work sessions. You'll be able to flush out, look at the questions, look at the budget, draw your questions. Let's get in the work session, try to answer everything you might have. This was just a cursory review to kind of talk about a little bit, but the details will come. But more importantly, the law says you had to see this. So we wanted to make sure you've seen it. And the bottom line is you now will have it. I would recommend, Camille, I don't know about you, but I'm a paper person when it comes to budget. So you can email it to me, but I'm going to turn right around and print it. So, and I do believe you print for Brian, I think for Diane, and I think you print for Ann. My recommendation is it may not be a bad idea if
Just print one for everybody.
Just print one for everybody. Email it to us as well. I know that's great, but print one for us and let us go ahead and start reading through this. And I'm going to just make some, I assume you will consider the same thing, make some crib notes as I go through the budget and then be ready to have a conversation when we get into the budget meetings. You okay with that, Council?
Yeah, I do have one question that I'd like to ask Camille. I appreciate all the hard work that everybody's put into this. One of the things you noted was the sales tax increase this year. I don't know if you could report on it now or if when the budget you get it out to us. I'd like to know the breakout of that, of how much of that come from within city versus how much come from because we have a higher population than other cities, and how much of that come from online sales. Basically asking how much did the city itself generate in that increase versus other avenues because of our population. And definitely due to COVID, we know online sales went through the roof this year.
Perfect. Yes, we can prepare that and we'll have that ready to discuss with you at the budget work session.
Thank you, Camille. I appreciate yours and all the staff's work on this.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Any other comments or questions, Council?
I just want to say the three things that stand out to me that I think are going to be a great asset to the city is the mental health. I think that everything that the paramedics and the firefighters and the officers go through, they need that. And the bailiff part-time so we can keep our police on the street. I think it's a great call. And lighting and security cameras for our parks so we can stop vandalism.
I knew you were going to pick that up, Ann.
Yeah.
Okay. Other comments before we move on? Okay, thank you. And
Thank you, Camille.
Camille, great job. Okay.
Thank you.
I know you got a lot of stuff there. One piece that I would ask you to consider and just think about this. the threshold limit in terms of what we can hold in reserve was changed this year. It'll be interesting to see how the city and the budget may address when that moves, I believe, from 25 to 35%. And that may obviously be something we'll bring up in the work session. So that'd be a good thing to also have. Thank you. Great rundown. Okay, Matt, looks like we've got some discussion items you want to talk about. Specifically, want to talk about the Aquatics Center session or the 2021 season fees. Are you going to talk that, or is this going to be Travis?
Travis is actually prepared for it.
Perfect. Go ahead, Travis.
Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I wanted to have a conversation regarding our general admission fees at the Aquatic Center. Currently, we offer general admission for children ages 4 to 7 at $4.50, 8 and older at $5.50, senior citizens down to $4.50. We would propose that we could increase these fees by 50 cents, making 4 to 7 year olds $5, 8 and up $6, senior citizens $5. And those fees would be for Roy residents. For non-residents, we would charge $1 more per fee group, so $6, $7, and $6. This is based on a couple of reasons. First, our ongoing costs have continued to rise in chemicals, in staffing and manpower. We've had to add an additional guard station because we found that there was an area that was just kind of a blind spot and unsafe, and we had a lot of close call rescues that we had to make. So we felt it was in the public's best interest to add a guard there. This would put our fees in line with surrounding communities. For example, the Clearfield Aquatic Center charges $7 for adults and $5 for the youth. Probably the organization that we closest resemble is North Shore in North Ogden. That's also an outdoor only water area. And they currently charge $6 for adults and $6.50 for non-residents. We would ask your consideration and willing to take any questions at this time about these potential fee increases.
Okay, council, comments for Travis on the Aquatic Center.
I think it's worth the raise and less change, round it off, get rid of that 50 cents. And how would you prove though if they're from another city?
You know, we're working on our system with North Ogden right now. It has to be a fast system. I don't know if you guys have been
right.
Center,
yeah.
You know, when we first opened, we can have 300 people there, so it's got to be quick. Obviously, any form of photo ID would work. You know, we're still working out some of the details on that, but we'll come up with a system and be prepared to discuss it.
Okay,
I'm all for it. Great idea, I think.
Go ahead, Diane.
Actually, I agree with Ann, and that was my question. And in regards to the trying to find out, you know, where they live, I was just wondering, would it be a system where they would be charged the higher rate unless they could prove that they were a citizen of Roy, just in case there isn't stuff, and maybe you can discuss that later, but that was just a question as subsequent.
I would say let's be prepared to have that conversation next city council meeting.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work on that, Travis, you and your staff. I support it 100%. I do have one question. Hopefully this doesn't throw one at you. What's the possibility of a season pass for the Aquatic Center or that residents could buy?
You know, it's something I'll gladly look into. We've looked into it in the past, and all the organizations that we've spoke with who have done it wish they hadn't, but that doesn't mean, and that was a couple years ago, and I will look into that and get you guys an answer when we talk again in a couple weeks.
Will you still accept the 10 punch pass? Because I have a lot.
Yes.
Still.
Will
that be the same price?
Even with any fee increase, we'll accept all outgoing or all existing 10 punch passes. We sold a lot of them last year and typically do sell a lot of them around Christmas time.
Right.
And that was obviously pre-COVID. So anybody who does have an active 10 punch pass, even if it has 4 or 5 uses already, we're just going to accept it, no questions asked.
And will you sell them again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Brian?
Good deal.
I think it's a great idea. It sounds like it's overdue. And how much additional revenue will that generate over a year or a season?
You know, we think that it's going to generate somewhere between $25,000 to $45,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
I bet it will be more, Travis. Everyone is going to be packed this year. I guarantee it.
Fingers crossed. We're
Yeah.
excited.
Just pray for sun.
Always.
okay. Any other comments, council? Okay, not hearing any. Travis, obviously, I think you got the council interested in your proposal. If you and Matt would like to formalize that and present that back to the city council at some future date, we'll go ahead. I guess the question would be is when do you expect to open the aquatic center?
Opening date for the Aquatic Center is Saturday, May 29th. So we would like to get it on the next agenda and have a discussion and then listen to whatever fee recommendations you guys may have. We'd like to start it to begin the year. So our next city council meeting is May 18th, and we will have something prepared at that point in time for you.
Perfect. Okay, council, thank you. Travis, great rundown. Appreciate that. Okay, let's go into COVID safety precautions. Matt, I believe you're talking this one.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, as you know, the date's fastly approaching. About right now, we're by appointment only at the city offices, and we set forth a plan to open up. Anyway, we got the notifications from the state that we talked about in the work session about some of the state guidelines easing up. But we wanted to have the conversation, as many businesses are now mask required versus masks suggested type conversation. Now, if I may just offer a suggestion, we do wear masks in the city, and I feel that it's very important. I do feel that it is hard on the city employees to try to regulate that, and that I would much rather see the masks suggested at the city offices. Now, I know that creates some problems for the residents because we have a barrier between us and the residents. But I don't feel right about having the city employees making or trying to cushion some political issues when people aren't wearing the masks when they come in. But anyway, we wanted to get your guys' suggestions as well on that. It is important that we maintain social distancing, so we're obviously looking at signage and different things like that for when we open up here in the next week. But anyway, I just wanted to get your guys' suggestions on the topic. So.
Council, you have any comments about what Matt's proposing?
So you're talking about people coming in and paying their utility bills. Well, they have a plastic shield there right now, don't they?
Correct, yes. So we feel that the city employees are pretty much protected, that we do have a barrier between us but not, for different areas, that utility barrier has been there for more security reasons because of the city vaults back there and things. And other departments, we've created plexiglass shields and stuff for city employees. So, but that doesn't protect a lot of the residents, and that's why the conversation's important. But it is also a larger political issue of should we be wearing masks or should we not? And we feel as an organization, as a city, that we should be putting efforts in trying to get people to wear masks in our city or not. We don't have the authority to mandate somebody to wear a mask, but we could say that they're trespassing on the premise if they're not, if we've asked them to leave. So it might take up some city resources to mandate that.
Well, and I guess you couldn't have somebody where they walk in, like when you go into a hospital, take their I mean, hopefully people are smart enough that aren't going to come into our offices that have any symptoms of COVID. But you never know. I don't know if you, because there are going to be people that refuse to wear a mask, but I don't know if you can take their temperature. I don't know. It's a tough one.
We, just a thought, at where I work, we put a sign on the door that just now ask guests if you have COVID symptoms, please mask.
Mhm.
It seems to be working, but anyway, so that sounds like that would be a less painful route for you, Matt. So
Yeah.
you don't have to police the halls.
My
Yeah.
sign would say, if you have symptoms, do not enter. That's what my sign would say.
I
I
appreciate
agree with that.
when they, when we talk to the health department, that's what they're biggest on. That's their big push now is just signage. When you enter the facility, be it the aquatic center, the city building, anything, they like to see the signage, and that's what they're really pushing us to do. And I agree with that. I like that idea.
And maybe we could have some disposable masks on a table, because sometimes people walk in, I've walked in places before and I'm like, crap, I forgot my mask and I have to run back to my car. So sometimes people just forget too. So maybe if you had portable masks, I know at the high school, we hand out 100 a day to kids that come in that forget them, and they come in with their shirt over their face and grab a mask.
Well, I think, so let's make sure we understand exactly what Matt's proposing. Matt, are you proposing then a mandate that anytime in city buildings you will wear a mask? Or are you proposing that we in fact allow it to be an option?
I would mandate that we, I'm suggesting that we would place signs out that say it's suggested to wear masks.
Okay.
As most businesses are doing.
Okay, so that's the issue on the table, which basically takes the city, for the most part, it's an option. I mean, they're suggesting versus required. So if we're going to go ahead and suggest it, then we just don't want to put our employees in some type of a conflicting issue with someone who says, I appreciate the suggestion, but I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Are we okay with that? Diane?
Just to clarify, the employees will still be wearing their mask and you'll still keep the shields. And then you'll just say mask recommended with the signage.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And then how does it work in regards to the complex or the aquatic center where, you know, physical distancing? Are we going to keep the numbers up? Are we going to limit certain numbers of people coming in? Is that going to matter? Just extending it out that far.
We've always tried to maintain just the health order. And so when they lift the health order, which sounds like today, I haven't read the articles or anything, but it sounds like they're going to lift most of those health orders and limit us. That was the big problem last year, is that the amount of people that we could actually allow in was only 50% of our capacity. But this year it sounds like things are being lifted, and that's what we want to abide by. And so our department heads, especially Travis, working with the aquatic center complex, has a really good relationship with the Weber County Health Department on those issues.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but I think with that, unless Weber County is going to step out and establish a new set of requirements, I'm not so sure personally that there's going to be any mandate. I mean, we need to get a feel from what the county is going to do, but I think, at least from my perspective, I think we're going to probably find that some of the processes, the applications we've submitted, some of that stuff may all go away. And if it all goes away, except they're saying, at least in the news report, I think kindergarten through 12 stays pretty well intact to where they are right now. Everything else is open. And if that's the case, I'm concerned unless the county chooses to do something, I'm not so sure what resource the county is going to be able to provide on this, except maybe advice. I don't think anything will be policy or requirement as it is today. So obviously we've got some more to learn. This effort that we're talking about is supposed to take place next Tuesday. We'll get some information into the county to figure out what the county can do and what we're going to do based on that. But what I'm hearing, at least from Matt, we're not going to it's not going to be a mandatory mask to come into our facilities, whether it be the Public Works facility or whether it be the administration office. And if that happens, we can protect our people by wearing a mask. I think we should pursue that and continue that. But what we're saying is we're not going to put our people in a conflict. When a person walks in, doesn't want to wear a mask, we're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, we feel that conflict there, and trying to have that conversation and try to get people out of here is probably going to cause more tension than it's worth.
Yeah.
So we feel that we should have our city employees maintain that 6-foot distance, maintain that barrier, and also mask up, rather than to exit the area and try to get them to either leave or put on a mask.
Yeah. Council, thoughts on that? Are we okay?
I think that's all you can do.
Okay, Matt, when's the implementation?
It was, according to the plan, it was to allow the city employees to get vaccinated and then get their the immunity up. We're planning on opening it up on the 17th. So just the following Monday.
So 17th of May, we'll establish the policy. And by the way, as you would expect, not everybody in Royce City, as far as an employee, has been vaccinated. But Royce City has not pushed a mandatory requirement. We leave the choice up to the individual, much like we leave the choice up to anybody if they choose to want to do it or not do it. So, but we do encourage the employees to wear a mask, okay, and keep that 6 feet away. And I think that's what we have to do.
Does this mean that the senior citizens when are they gonna be able to go start eating dinner at the senior center again? Or is that still food delivery?
We do work really closely with them, but it's actually Weaver Human Services that facilitates that. She reached out for a lot of advice and stuff, and we work closely together with that, but it's ultimately their decision.
But we're working close with them, and I expect, and this all could be part of this decision that the state's doing. We could see if they lift the requirements, they could obviously lift that too, Ann. But at least in the interim, we're doing the food delivery, but we could see people just going into the Hope Center literally over the next few weeks. But as Matt said, that really is the county's decision. We're letting Kathy go ahead and work through that process. Okay. Okay, we'll press for that. Thank you. Plan on that then the 17th of May. It's time for the city manager and council report. Matt?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, I only have one thing for tonight. It's just a reminder that our summer schedule is here, starting here shortly. It's the first full week out of school, and that's June 1st, and it goes until Friday, August 20th. So the schedule is Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's the administration offices. So that will be just starting here pretty quick. And then also softball, baseball's here starting, registrations taking place, but they're going to be starting to play here pretty quick for our recreation department.
Okay, perfect. Council, do you have anything you'd like to talk about, or more importantly, anything you'd like to see done?
Thank you, Mayor, for arranging the town hall. I think that will be a very good thing to do. So I appreciate you proceeding with that.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful. We're excited about that. Other thoughts?
That will go along with our new pillar, huh, Diane?
Yes, that's right.
Hey,
That's the reason why we put it there, because we felt we need that other pillar to have something to do there. I like it. Go ahead, Joe.
Matt or the mayor, whichever, there was an email that come through with the suggestion that there might be a possibility of arrangement of a mobile vaccine truck. Is that something that was looked into?
I can tell you what I know, that the latest strategy they're working at the county level would be is to mobile vehicle to take the person to the vaccination site. The state was looking at these mobiles, but I think they were doing it more in the rural area, Joe.
Okay, so it was about mobile transportation. The reason I brought that up is we have, a significant number of seniors in our community, and making sure that they have the ability to, get up and get vaccinated
Yeah, we brought that up to the county about 3 months ago during one of our Friday meetings. And I mentioned to him, I simply says, we do have a lot of people who are at home, maybe not be able to be mobile. Would the county consider looking at some options? The latest I've heard, and they're looking at right now, is to basically take the individual to the vaccination site. I think that's okay, but I still think we're going to have, as you're suggesting, a number of Roy residents that's not going to work very well. And so I think maybe what we need to do, and I'll bring this up in our next meeting when we meet, ask them if they're looking at options to maybe do just that. I will tell you, Matt and I was approached to maybe use the Hope Center as a site to where we can bring the vaccination here, and then try to figure out how we can get the people to that location here in Roy. I do know they're working out of a elementary or a junior high school down on the west side of Roy. They were using
Rocky
that as a
Mount.
site. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'll look at that, but we'll take your action. I've got it written down. We'll see if we can't figure out exactly how we may be able to make that and how we can connect to those people that have a need to get the vaccine to them.
I'm glad you thought about the Hope Center because that was going to be my
Yeah,
next
that's-
thought.
Great idea. So are we going to use the suggestion that we will start having our public comments at the beginning instead of after we vote on something? Because I think that Glenda Moore had made that suggestion. I just think that's a great suggestion because sometimes, they have comments, but we've already voted on the issue at hand, and sometimes maybe their comments would make us change our vote.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I will tell you, we can do this a couple of ways. The public comment component we have in our city council is for anything they want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so it can be. We could collectively, and I can put this as part of our plan, when we're in those topics that are very sensitive, and I think we pretty well know that, we can have a public comment period within that topic when we bring it up. And before you do take a vote, and remember, anything that deals with a ordinance or resolution may very well warrant to have some type of a public involvement. But here's what I'm thinking, Ann. I think we're a few short weeks away from going back to live city council meetings. Everything is pointing to that. The numbers, I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago, when we had a city council meeting, Royce City had 79, I believe, active cases. As of 2 days ago, we had 38. We are really getting our arms around this pandemic in Roy, and I know the county, is Weber and Davis County and Morgan, are really doing a great job getting our arms around this. I guess my point would be is we're going to go back to public meetings real soon. And I don't have a problem if, in fact, an individual wants to step up and make a comment prior to us taking a vote. I think that's just good. That's good government. And I think the people have a right to make a point. And more importantly, you have a right to hear it.
Right.
And they may, as you suggested, come up with an idea that we never thought about that we should be thinking about. And so whether we encourage them to send their ideas into administration email, or whether or not we put them right here on this screen and we hear what they have to say, I do believe that communication is critical. And I think we need to find better ways to do it. I think Diane, in her fifth pillar idea, was saying this. I think we can do more. We've done a lot over the last 4 years, but if we can even do better, why not? Okay.
Right.
Hey, Mayor, I would also advocate when we go back to in-person public meetings, council meetings and that there still is an electronic aspect. If a council member has a need to, whether they're traveling, they're ill or whatever, they could zoom in and be a part of it. And it's another way for people to watch it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that would also add to Diane's pillar to improve the communication. We've learned a lot. We've got a lot of people watching, not just on YouTube, but they're actually connecting in, and why not? And if they can watch and listen, and more importantly, feed information to us, I think it's, again, better government. So let's look at those options and let's make them happen. Okay, I'm excited. Thank you. Good comment, Ann and Joe. Okay, I've got just one thing. Matt, maybe you can help us, you and Ross. In our WACOG meeting yesterday, we were told that if the city has some a need for transportation funds from the county, then we have a letter of intent for our projects requirements coming up. I believe it's in June. I'll get the updated date, but you may have a need for some monies to help with some transportation projects locally. So if you do, we need to get those projects identified, submit a letter of intent. Usually it's a few months after that before we have to provide the details, but at least it allows the county to know that we have some interest in a particular area. And these are sizable amounts. The ones we approved last night, for an example, for North Ogden and for Harrisville, I mean, we're talking $1 million. I mean, so these are healthy funding avenues to really help the cities to be able to deal with their transportation issues. Okay, so we ought to take advantage, and I think we have in the past. I will tell you, I not disappointed because I know this sometimes that we get them, we don't. But the easy grants in our meeting last night, I'm not sure if Royce City submitted any easy grants this year for 2021, but I went through the list. The list is rather big. Okay, but Royce City wasn't awarded any easy grants this year. It could be lots of reasons. One of the reasons they said that if we submitted because we wanted to use some of that money for fireworks, they don't do easy grants for fireworks. But they're looking at that as a committee to see if in fact they should add it, because I think they received a number of requests. We're back into the fireworks talking again. It's great to hear that because it's been a long time since we've had fireworks in Roy, but nothing on this list indicated that Royce City was issued an easy grant in 2021. So we'll work it again in 2022 when it comes through. Okay. That's all I have. I'm thinking that's all you have. So with that, anything else? Diane?
Just one follow-up on our communication topic. I was finding myself feeling a little uncomfortable with limiting comments 3 to 5 minutes for everything and making it so strict. I was thinking that might be an option in a rare situation where you really think you're going to have a lot of input. And I'm also uncomfortable with the shot clock kind of concept where we're limiting. I'm thinking that if we can, most people really do have short comments, and just limit it to an as needed. If we really need to limit it, great, but not make it look like we're trying to inhibit their participation. Those are some of my thoughts in regards to that.
Okay. Yeah, I will indicate to you, the mayor does have the prerogative, and I've always, like you suggest, Diane, if a person needs to speak, let them speak. But I will indicate to you, Matt, you can confirm this. We've had city council meetings when it's standing room only, and everybody wants to talk. And assuming, I remember there was one I went to because I wanted to talk in a meeting at the tax increase or truth in taxation the county was having. They basically must have had at least 120 people that got in front of that microphone. In the Weber County chambers, they do have a clock. It's a 3 or 5 minute clock. And I left, I think, after about 2 hours, and they didn't get out of there until clearly around midnight. Now, but that's just limiting everyone to 3 to 5 minutes. So you're right. Generally, I think we just allow people to speak, but I think there will be topics that could very well get a lot of attention, and it may warrant then to kind of restrict that down.
I agree. Just on an as needed basis, rarely, but not on a routine. Thank you.
Yeah, great comment. Okay. Anything else before we ask for a motion to adjourn? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian, I got a second out of Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Good meeting. Let's adjourn. We do have an RDA board meeting right after this, so go ahead and connect up, and we'll try to start our RDA board meeting about 6:30. Okay.
I propose 6:30.
Wait a minute, we've already adjourned, but we'll plan for 6:30. Okay, thank you.
We'll see you at 6:30.